core strength and core stability are slightly different in the way the exercises are performed, but also the type of exercise that they are as well. Core strength is your ability to hold a posture for a prolonged period of time. So you could then describe that as core endurance, if you will, because it's your ability to be able to maintain a posture without fatiguing, or at least resisting that fatigue and holding it for a longer period of time. So exercises might be the plank, the side plank, and all the various derivatives and variations that sort of come along with that. But you've also got things like bench press, deadlift, any rowing exercises, cable exercises, so on and so forth. What we then get are core stability exercises. Now, stability is the ability of the tissues of your core to engage at the right time. So now we're talking a little bit more about balance, coordination, and being able to keep your body upright and prevent from falling over a period of time, but also over a sort of a position and a posture, be it static or dynamic. So that comes into things like the bird dog here. So we start in the quadruped position on all fours, and then we lift an arm and a leg. So we're looking at different exercises for a different job, because this bird dog exercise here doesn't necessarily make our core stronger, but what it does do is it does help us be able to balance between our hand and our knee here. And obviously the plank here doesn't necessarily help our body balance, but it does help it resist fatigue and become a little bit more stronger, or have more endurance, if you will. Now what we can do is we can combine exercises so we can get strength and stability from it. We can do that statically and dynamically. And that's kind of what this program is there to do, is build up those different sort of facets of the core, of core strength and core stability. Because we can just do a core stability exercise program and it just be filled of balance and stability exercises, or we can do a purely core strength exercise. But if we need balance, we need to do the balance and not the strength. If we need strength, we need to do the strength exercises, not the balance exercises. So what it helps us do is understand exercise a little bit better and our exercise choices a little bit better. It's not there to catch anyone out. It is a bit of a technicality, I know. It's, a lot of people do, they mean the right thing, but they don't necessarily put the heading for it. And all I'm trying to do is just sort of put the right heading over the right exercises with that, and just give you a bit of better understanding of your body and maybe what it needs. So hopefully that sort of makes a little bit more sense around that. We're now going to sort of move on and talk about your body, your core, and how it sort of works and is built. The core, or your core, is, again, to some degree it's slightly misunderstood, but there's just a little bit more to what people describe as the core. Most people think of the core as your abdominal wall, which is the abdominals here. These obviously they're like the six-pack muscle that we all sort of love and know, and the oblique muscles here just down the side of it. That's how it's commonly described. But we've also got the back, so the big latissimus dorsi muscle that joins into this big white area here. So these two big muscles here, they're a big part of the core. They do huge amounts for spine stability, and especially the lumbar spine stability. And you've also got the hips. So you've got glute max here, this big muscle on the outside. Then you've got glute medius, which is just underneath it. And then you've got glute minimus, which again is underneath the glute medius. And they get sort of smaller as you go deeper. So we've got the abdominal wall, we've got the back, and we've got the hips. So it's quite a large area, and it's also covered with quite a lot of muscles. And as you can see, they sort of move in different, or they are positioned in different sort of directions. So you've got the abs going up and down here, you've got the obliques kind of going across, you've got the latissimus dorsi going across, you've got the trapezius going across, and things like that. So we can start to see that the core is a little bit more dynamic than just a few muscles that work through the abdominal wall. And when it comes to doing exercise, these are the parts, or these are the muscles that we need to be engaging at the same time. It's not just a case of pulling your tummy in tight, for example. And also we're going to describe when to pull your tummy in tight and when to leave it a little bit more lax, because there are times for big tightness and there are times for not so much tightness. So we're going to sort of describe that as well. I won't do it right now because we're just sort of looking at how it's made. So the core covers basically from your pelvis to your shoulder, and it encompasses all those different muscles, the abdominal wall, the back and the hips, and to some degree you could say the muscles of the chest here, but mainly the abdominal wall, the back and the hips. So what we're now going to do is we're now going to start applying that into exercise, into movement, and how we need to use it. So yeah, we'll go straight through onto the next slide and talk about that. It's also going to be a little bit more practical, so do make sure you've got a little bit of space. You're not going to be moving around. You do need to be able to obviously sit down and stand up, so you may be able to do that next to your desk, or you may just have to move ever so slightly just to find a bit of space to do that. But yes, otherwise we'll go through onto the next slide and get into it.